Welcome back to ZEE Coin. Today we are diving into the fascinating world of rare and valuable Lincoln pennies. That is right, those small copper coins you might just overlook could actually be worth a fortune, so stay tuned as we count down the top 7 most valuable Abraham Lincoln penny coins that are currently worth a lot of money in today's collector market. Some of these coins have been sold for thousands and even millions of dollars at auction, so check your coin jars because you might be sitting on a gold miniere. Diving deep into the world of pennies. But not just any penny, we're talking about the 1974 Lincoln 1-cent coin. You may think it's just a common old coin sitting in your change jar, but some of these 1974 pennies are worth far more than 1 cent. In fact, certain varieties and errors can fetch hundreds, even thousands of dollars in today's coin market. So grab your magnifying glass, check your pocket change, and let's explore the surprising history, background, and current value of the 1974 Lincoln penny. You won't believe what this little copper coin could be worth today. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln 1-cent coin, or penny, has been minted since 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse, or front of the coin, features the famous profile portrait of Lincoln, originally designed by Victor David Brenner. That design has remained largely unchanged for over a century. Now fast forward to 1974. The United States Mint was looking for ways to reduce the cost of producing pennies. At the time, the price of copper was rising fast, and since pennies were made primarily of copper, they were becoming too expensive to manufacture. So in 1974, the Mint experimented with an alternative, aluminum. That's right, in 1974, the U.S. Mint struck over 1 million test pennies using aluminum instead of the traditional copper alloy. These experimental coins were distributed to members of Congress and various government agencies for testing. However, the aluminum pennies never went into public circulation. Many were eventually recalled and destroyed, and officially, they were never released to the general public. But here's the twist. A few of these rare 1974 aluminum pennies escaped destruction. To this day, only a small number are known to exist, and they are considered illegal to own since they were never officially released. Still, their existence is known, and they are legendary among collectors. One example was once offered for sale and valued at over $250,000 before being returned to the mint due to legal issues. Now let's talk about the regular 1974 pennies that you can find in circulation today. Most were minted in copper, and they came from 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can tell where your penny came from by looking just below the date. A small d indicates Denver. An S indicates San Francisco. And if there's no mint mark, it was struck in Philadelphia. The most common 1974 penny is the one from Philadelphia. Over 4 billion of these were minted, so they are very common in circulation. Unless you have one in absolutely pristine condition, it's likely worth only face value, just 1 cent. However, the 1974D and 1974S coins have their own stories. The 1974D penny, from the Denver Mint, also had an aluminum test strike, and one example of this elusive 1974D aluminum penny is known to exist. Its value is so high that it caused a legal battle between the government and the person who claimed to own it. It could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars if ever legally sold. The San Francisco Mint produced both business strike coins and proof coins in 1974. The proof coins are highly polished and struck multiple times to bring out the details. If you find a 1974S proof penny in perfect condition, especially graded PR69 or PR70 by a reputable grading company, it could be worth between $5 and $100 depending on the quality and market demand. But there's another factor that can make a 1974 penny valuable: mint errors. Collectors pay big money for unique mistakes made during the minting process. Some examples include double dies, off-center strikes, and clipped planchets. A 1974 doubled die penny, where the design appears doubled due to a misalignment during minting, can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100s depending on the strength of the doubling and the condition of the coin. An off-center 1974 penny, where part of the design is missing because the coin wasn't struck in the correct position, can also fetch high prices. The more dramatic the error, the higher the value, and let's not forget about condition. Coin collectors use a grading scale from 1 to 70 to determine a coin's condition. A 1974 penny graded MS65 or higher can be worth far more than face value simply because of its pristine condition. In recent auctions, red 1974 Lincoln cents in mint state condition have sold for $10 to $50 or more. So, what should you be looking for in your change? First, check the date. Is it 1974? Good start. Next, check for a mint mark. A 1974D or 1974S might hold more value, especially in high grade or with an error. Then, look closely at the coin's surface. Is there doubling in the lettering or date? Does anything look off-center? Is the coin unusually shiny or flawless? And finally, consider getting it graded. A professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC can confirm your coin's authenticity and condition, which can greatly impact its resale value. To summarize, while most 1974 Lincoln pennies are common and worth only face value, a few varieties are incredibly rare and valuable. The elusive 1974 aluminum penny, especially from Denver, is one of the rarest coins in U.S. history. Proof coins from San Francisco can also hold decent value. And mint errors or high-grade specimens can turn your ordinary pocket change into a collector's prize. So next time you empty your pockets, take a second look at those pennies. You never know, that humble 1974 coin could be a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Today we're diving deep into the history and current value of one of the most overlooked coins in your change jar. The 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny. You might be surprised to learn that this little copper coin could be worth way more than just a cent. So grab your magnifying glasses and coin folders because we're about to uncover the secrets of the 1977 Lincoln penny. Let's begin with a little background. The 1977 penny is part of the Lincoln Memorial Cents series, which ran from 1959 until 2008. This coin features the familiar profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse or front of the coin. That design was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. In 1959, the reverse of the coin changed from the wheat ears design to the Lincoln Memorial in honor of the 150th anniversary of his birth and the 50th anniversary of the Lincoln cent itself. So the 1977 penny carries the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse and Lincoln's portrait on the obverse. Now here's the thing. In 1977, the United States Mint produced over 4.4 billion pennies at the Philadelphia Mint. That's right, over 4 billion with a B. So it's fair to ask the question, why would such a common coin ever be worth more than a cent? The answer lies in the details. Although the 1977 penny was made in large quantities, not all of them are created equal. There are a few special characteristics that can make some of these coins extremely valuable to collectors. Let's talk about those. First off, let's discuss the composition. The 1977 penny was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each of these pennies actually contains about 2.5 grams of copper. Because of the rising value of copper, even the metal content of the coin is now worth more than 1 cent. Though melting pennies for their copper is illegal under U.S. law, but melt value is not what makes these pennies collectible. Instead, it's the rare errors and high-grade specimens that drive up the value. Let's start with mint errors, some of the most valuable 1977 Lincoln cents are those with noticeable mint errors. For example, a double die obverse error is when the image or lettering appears to be doubled due to a misalignment during the striking process. If you have a 1977 penny with strong doubling on the date, the word liberty, or the phrase "In God We Trust," then you might have something special. Depending on the strength of the doubling, these can fetch anywhere from $50 to several $100s at auction. Another valuable error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned in the coin press and part of the design is missing. If the date is still visible and the coin is struck off-center by at least 50%, it can be worth a lot. Again, potentially in the hundreds of dollars. There's also the possibility of finding a coin with a die crack, a die chip, or even a clipped planchet. All of these are errors that collectors love, and they can increase the value of your penny dramatically. But let's not forget about condition. Even without errors, a regular 1977 penny in mint state condition, that means no scratches, no wear, and a strong original luster, can be valuable. Coins graded MS65 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC can sell for $10, $20, or even more depending on the market. The highest known grade for a 1977 penny is MS67 red, and one of those sold for over $2,000. Yes, a single 1977 penny sold for more than $2,000 just because it was in pristine condition. So if you're sitting on a roll of old pennies from the 70s, it's worth taking a closer look. Now let's talk about the current market as of today. In 2025, the demand for collectible coins, especially Lincoln cents, is still going strong. Collectors are willing to pay top dollar for high-grade coins with strong eye appeal and rare errors. Online marketplaces like eBay show regular auctions where 1977 error pennies are selling for anywhere from $50 to Several $100s depending on the error in the grade. Coin shows and coin dealers also report consistent interest in these coins. Some investors even seek out high-grade Lincoln cents as a long-term hedge against inflation. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 1977 penny? First, inspect it carefully under good lighting. Look for doubling, clean edges, strong strike, and any signs of an error. Second, consider sending it to a professional grading company to get it certified and graded. Third, do your research and check completed sales on auction sites to get a sense of what similar coins are selling for. And finally, if you do have something rare, congratulations. You might just be holding onto a small piece of hidden treasure. To sum it up, the 1977 Lincoln 1-cent penny might look ordinary at first glance, but it holds a fascinating history and some surprising potential value. From double die errors to mint state gems, this little coin is worth more than you might think. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating story behind the 1983 Lincoln 1-cent penny. This small copper-colored coin might be sitting in your change jar right now, but did you know it could be worth a lot more than just a cent? Yes, that's right. Some 1983 pennies have become the focus of collectors and treasure hunters all over the world, with a few extremely rare examples fetching hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your own pocket change. Let's start with a bit of history. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It replaced the Indian head cent and was the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the coin originally had the wheat ears on the reverse side, a design that continued until 1959 when it was replaced with the Lincoln Memorial design in honor of the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Fast forward to 1982 and a major change occurred that directly impacted the 1983 penny. Up until 1982, Lincoln cents were made primarily of 95% copper. But due to the rising cost of copper, the U.S. Mint made the switch to a cheaper composition, a zinc core with a thin copper plating. This means that most 1983 pennies are made of zinc, not solid copper. But here's where things get interesting. There is a rare and mysterious version of the 1983 penny that is made of copper instead of zinc. This is what collectors refer to as the 1983 copper cent, or sometimes the 1983 bronze cent. These coins were never supposed to exist. Officially, the U.S. Mint says no copper planchets were used in 1983. But somehow, a small number of copper planchets from 1982 were left over and accidentally used in the production of 1983 pennies. This minting error has made those few surviving copper 1983 pennies extremely valuable. To understand if you have one of these valuable coins, you'll need to weigh your penny. A standard zinc 1983 penny weighs about 2.5 grams, while a copper one weighs about 3.1 grams. That small difference in weight makes all the difference in the world when it comes to the value. If you have a scale that can measure to the tenth of a gram, that's the first test you should do. If your 1983 penny weighs more than 3 grams, it could be a copper planchet error, but the story doesn't end there. There's another rare and valuable version of the 1983 penny, and it's known as the 1983 doubled die reverse. This error occurs when the design on the reverse side of the coin is impressed more than once, causing the lettering and design elements to appear doubled. The 1983 doubled die reverse is most visible in the words 1 cent in United States of America. The letters appear thicker and almost shadowed due to the doubling effect. This error can be seen with the naked eye but is even clearer under magnification. If you spot a 1983 penny with this kind of doubling, you might be holding a coin worth hundreds of dollars or more. And now let's talk about current market values. As of now, a regular 1983 penny in circulated condition is still worth just 1 cent. But a 1983 copper penny, one of those rare errors, can sell for over $10,000 if authenticated and graded in high condition. Only a handful are known to exist, and each one is highly sought after by collectors. The 1983 doubled die reverse penny, on the other hand, is a bit more accessible. In lower grades, it can be worth $50 to $100. In higher grades, especially if it's certified by a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC, it can sell for several $100s or more. Some examples in mint state condition have fetched over $1,000 at auction. So what should you do if you think you found a rare 1983 penny? First, don't clean the coin. Cleaning can actually damage the surface and lower its value. Second, weigh the coin to see if it matches the copper or zinc weight. Third, examine it closely for signs of doubling, especially on the reverse side. If you believe you have a rare variety, consider submitting it to a professional grading service. They can authenticate it and assign a grade, which can dramatically increase its value. You might be wondering how many of these rare 1983 pennies are still out there. The truth is, nobody knows. That's part of what makes coin hunting so exciting. It's entirely possible that someone watching this video could stumble upon one of these hidden gems in their loose change or an old coin jar. Even rolls of pennies from the bank could contain valuable finds, and don't forget, even common 1983 pennies in uncirculated condition can be of interest to collectors. A shiny, mint-state 1983 penny with no scratches, dings, or discoloration could sell for a few dollars, especially if it has full luster and strong strike details. These coins are often found in old coin rolls or mint sets. So to sum it all up, the 1983 Lincoln cent is a coin that looks ordinary but can be extraordinary. Whether it's the rare copper planchet version, the famous double die reverse, or just a high-grade uncirculated specimen, there's real potential hiding in plain sight. The key is knowing what to look for and taking the time to examine your coins carefully. Today's deep dive, we're taking a close look at one of the most talked about Lincoln cents in modern American numismatics, the 1995 D1 cent penny. This little copper-plated coin from Denver may seem ordinary at first glance, but as you're about to find out, there's a lot more going on with it than meets the eye. And now let's start by looking at the basics. The 1995 D penny is a Lincoln Memorial cent minted in Denver, Colorado. The D mint mark just below the date tells us that this coin came out of the Denver Mint, one of the major United States mint facilities still in operation today. In 1995 alone, Denver struck over 7 billion Lincoln cents, making it one of the highest mintage years for the penny. So with so many coins produced, why is this 1 cent piece catching attention and in some cases selling for a lot more than its face value? The answer lies in a few key areas: history, error types, condition, and the growing interest in numismatics among everyday collectors and investors. Let's first take a look at the design and history of the Lincoln cent. The Lincoln penny has been in production since 1909, first created to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first regular issue United States coin to feature a real person, breaking away from the traditional allegorical figures like Lady Liberty. The obverse features a right-facing bust of Lincoln, while the reverse, in 1995, still featured the Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. This design was in use from 1959 through 2008, until it was replaced with the Union Shield reverse in 2010. But what makes the 1995 D stand out? Unlike its Philadelphia minted cousin, the 1995 D penny does not have the famous doubled die obverse that was discovered in the 1995 Philadelphia cent. The Philadelphia variety shows strong doubling in the letters Liberty and In God We Trust, making it one of the most collected errors of the 1990s. While the Denver minted penny lacks that dramatic doubling, it has still earned collector attention, and here's why. First, it's all about condition. While billions of these coins were made, very few have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most ended up in circulation and suffered scratches, discoloration, and wear. However, those that were preserved in rolls or mint sets remain in nearly perfect condition, and these are the ones fetching money at auctions today. In mint state grades like MS65 and higher, the 1995 D penny can be worth a few dollars to several dozen dollars, depending on the market. In MS67 red condition, some examples have sold for over $100. One of the key things collectors look for is luster, strike quality, and absence of contact marks. Coins that come back from third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC with high mint state grades are always in high demand. Another factor that impacts value is color designation. Lincoln cents are graded not only by number, but also by color: red, red-brown, and brown. Red coins, which retain nearly all of their original mint color, are the most desirable. A 1995 D penny graded MS67 red is far more valuable than a brown one in the same grade. Now let's touch on the errors. Even though the 1995 D does not have a recognized doubled die like the 1995 Philadelphia coin, collectors have discovered minor die clashes, die cracks, off-center strikes, and other small errors in this year. While most of these are minor and worth only a few extra dollars, more dramatic errors like off-center strikes of 15% or more, broad strikes, and clipped planchets can fetch between $20 and a few $100, depending on severity and overall eye appeal. Let's also talk about full roll premiums. A full original bank-wrapped roll of 1995 Lincoln cents in uncirculated condition can sell for anywhere from $5 to $30 or more depending on the condition and demand. That's a big jump from face value and demonstrates how bulk collectors and investors are betting on the long-term value of pristine coins. Another point to keep in mind is that coin values are not set in stone. They fluctuate based on demand, rarity, and trends in the hobby. A coin that sells for $20 today may sell for $50 next year, or drop to $10 if interest wanes. That's why it's important to keep an eye on auction results from websites like Heritage Auctions, Great Collections, or eBay, where you can see real-time selling prices. As of the most recent market trends in 2025, high-grade certified 1995 Lincoln pennies in MS68 red condition have reached auction prices as high as $200 to $300, but those are very rare examples. The vast majority of coins will be worth between 1 cent and a few dollars unless they're uncirculated and graded. So what's the bottom line? Should you be checking your change for 1995 pennies? The answer is yes, but with realistic expectations. Most 1995 pennies in circulated condition are worth just 1 cent, maybe a few cents to the right collector. But if you find one in exceptional condition, especially if it has a red mint state appearance, or any unusual error, it could be worth a lot more. Always consider submitting it to a grading service if you believe your coin is especially high quality. Collectors are increasingly interested in modern era coins, and the 1995 penny is a great example of how even common coins can become valuable under the right circumstances. Whether you're a seasoned numismatist or just starting your coin collecting journey, keeping an eye on these small but potentially valuable coins can be both fun and profitable. Where we explore the fascinating stories behind the coins in your pocket. Today we are diving deep into the 1996 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. You may think of it as just another copper-colored coin, but there is a rich story behind it, and even more surprising, certain 1996 pennies could be worth way more than just 1 cent. If you have one of these coins, you may want to take a closer look. You could be holding on to a small fortune. Let's start with a little bit of history. The Lincoln cent has been in circulation since 1909. That was the year the United States Mint introduced it to honor the 100th anniversary of the birth of President Abraham Lincoln. It was also the very first time that a real historical figure appeared on a regular circulating American coin. Before Lincoln pennies, American coins featured more symbolic figures like Lady Liberty. Fast forward to 1996. The Lincoln penny that was minted that year continued to feature the famous side profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse or head side of the coin. This portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner, and it has become one of the most iconic images in U.S. coinage history. Above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust," to the left is the word Liberty, and to the right is the date 1996. Some coins also have a small letter under the date indicating the mint where it was made, either D for Denver or no mint mark, which usually means it was minted in Philadelphia. Now let's talk about the reverse or tail side of the 1996 penny. This side features the Lincoln Memorial, which was added to the design in 1959 on the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This design was created by Frank Gasparo. If you look closely at the base of the Lincoln Memorial, you can actually see a tiny engraving of the seated statue of Lincoln inside the memorial. That's right, the penny has a picture of Lincoln on both sides. A nice little tribute to one of America's most beloved presidents. In 1996, hundreds of millions of pennies were minted. Specifically, over 6 billion in total. The Philadelphia Mint struck about 4.6 billion pennies, while the Denver Mint produced just over 6 billion. That's a lot of pennies, which means most 1996 Lincoln cents are extremely common and generally only worth face value. However, here's where it gets interesting. While the majority of 1996 pennies are worth just 1 cent, there are certain rare varieties and error coins that collectors are willing to pay serious money for. These rare versions are what can make your 1996 penny worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most valuable types of 1996 pennies are the ones with mint errors. A mint error is when something went wrong during the coin-making process. Some examples include off-center strikes where the design is not properly aligned, double dies where the image or lettering is duplicated, and coins struck on the wrong planchet, which means they were made using the wrong type of metal blank. These errors are unintentional but highly prized by collectors for their rarity and uniqueness. Let's go over a few examples of valuable 1996 Lincoln penny errors. First up is the 1996 double die obverse penny. This coin shows noticeable doubling on the date and the words Liberty and In God We Trust. If you have one of these and the doubling is clear, it could be worth anywhere from $50 to a few $100 depending on the condition. Another valuable variant is the 1996 penny struck off-center. Off-center errors can range in value based on how far off the strike is. A minor off-center strike might only fetch a few bucks, but if your penny is 50% off-center and still shows a full date, it could be worth upwards of $100 or more. There's also the rare 1996 Lincoln penny struck on a foreign planchet or a dime planchet. These are particularly rare and can be worth several $100s. They are often lighter in weight and may appear thinner or a different color than a regular penny. Next, let's discuss condition and grading because that plays a huge role in determining how much your coin is worth. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70 with higher numbers representing better condition. A coin that has never been circulated and looks almost perfect is called mint state or MS and can be graded anywhere from MS60 to MS70. A 1996 penny in MS67 or higher condition with a red luster could sell for as much as $50 to $200 depending on demand. According to auction records, some 1996 pennies have sold for impressive prices. For example, a 1996 Lincoln penny graded MS68 red by a top grading company sold for over $700 at auction. The reason for this high value is due to the coin's pristine condition and strong eye appeal. Collectors love coins with bold luster and no blemishes. Another factor that can influence a coin's value is its toning. Toning is the natural discoloration that happens over time due to exposure to air and moisture. Some coins develop colorful rainbow tones that can be very attractive to collectors. If your 1996 penny has beautiful toning, it might be worth more than you think. To find out if your 1996 penny is valuable, start by checking the condition. Is it shiny and uncirculated? Look at the date under magnification. Do you see any doubling or unusual features? Weigh the coin. A normal 1996 penny should weigh about 2.5 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, it might be struck on the wrong planchet. Also check for any signs of misalignment or off-center strike. If you believe you have a rare or valuable coin, consider having it professionally graded by a company like PCGS or NGC. These services will authenticate your coin and give it an official grade, which can help you get a better price if you decide to sell it. Speaking of selling, where can you sell a rare 1996 penny? There are many options. You can list it on auction sites like eBay or Heritage Auctions. You can also take it to a local coin dealer or attend a coin show. Be sure to do your research beforehand so you have an idea of what your coin might be worth. So what's the bottom line? Most 1996 Lincoln pennies are only worth 1 cent, but if yours has a rare error, is in top condition, or has special features like doubling or off-center strike, it could be worth much more. In fact, you might be sitting on a valuable piece of numismatic history without even knowing it. Today's video we are going to talk about the 2005 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. This small copper coin might just be sitting in your pocket or in a jar on your dresser, and it could actually be worth way more than just 1 cent. Some of these pennies have become extremely collectible and highly valuable, and I am going to tell you exactly why. We will go over the history of the coin, what makes certain 2005 Lincoln cents rare, and how much they are selling for right now in today's market. So let's begin with a little history. The Lincoln 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, was first issued in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. This was actually the first time in U.S. history that a real historical figure appeared on a circulating U.S. coin. Before this, coins featured symbols or figures of liberty. The designer of the original 1909 Lincoln cent was Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear on the reverse of some early issues. Now let's fast forward nearly a century later to the year 2005. At this time, the Lincoln penny still featured the same basic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front or obverse side. But there were small design differences and some interesting minting varieties that occurred in that year, which make some of the 2005 pennies very special and highly collectible. In 2005, the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents at 3 locations. The Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, the Denver Mint, which used a D mint mark, and the San Francisco Mint, which produced only proof coins with an S mint mark. The Philadelphia and Denver mints struck billions of pennies for circulation. However, what makes the 2005 penny interesting is not just how many were made but how certain errors and special varieties came into existence during the minting process. One of the most famous varieties from 2005 is the Lincoln cent with a double die obverse. This means during the minting process the coin design was accidentally stamped more than once but slightly off alignment. This caused visible doubling in parts of the coin's design, especially in the lettering like the words Liberty and God We Trust and the date. If you spot a 2005 penny with these doubled features, you may have a valuable coin on your hands. Collectors love doubled die coins, and some 2005 examples with strong doubling can sell for anywhere from $20 to several $100 depending on the condition and visibility of the error. Some coins graded by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC have reached even higher prices in auctions and online sales. Another thing to watch for on 2005 Lincoln cents is the quality of the strike and the overall condition of the coin. Coins that are in uncirculated condition or in mint state condition are worth more than coins that have been heavily circulated. If your 2005 penny looks brand new with no scratches, shiny surfaces and sharp details, then it might be graded as MS60 or higher. The higher the grade, the more value the coin could have to collectors. Now let's talk about proof coins from 2005. Proof coins are not made for circulation. They are made specially for collectors, and they usually have a very shiny mirror-like finish with more detailed designs. The San Francisco Mint produced these coins and they carry an S Mint mark. A 2005 S-proof Lincoln penny in perfect condition could be worth between $5 and $15 and even more if it has a rare error or variety. So how much are 2005 Lincoln cents really worth in today's market? Common circulated examples from Philadelphia or Denver are usually worth just face value unless they have an error. But if you have a mint state coin or a double die or another error variety, it could be worth $20, $50, or even hundreds of dollars depending on rarity and demand. Proof coins from San Francisco are also collectible, especially if graded highly. There are also collectors who specialize in full coin roll searching. This means they buy entire rolls of pennies from banks and search through them hoping to find valuable varieties or high-grade coins. Some lucky collectors have found valuable 2005 pennies in bank rolls and even in pocket change. So it is always worth taking a closer look. If you want to know the value of your 2005 penny, the best thing you can do is to check the coin under good lighting or use a magnifying glass. Look for signs of doubling or any unusual features. Then compare it to images from trusted numismatic resources online or consult a professional coin dealer. You can also consider sending your coin to a grading company to get an official grade and authentication. To sum it all up, the 2005 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny may look ordinary, but some of these coins are far from it. Whether it is a double die error, a proof coin from San Francisco, or a high-grade uncirculated example, these coins can be worth far more than 1 cent. Keep your eyes open and always check your change, because you never know when you might find a small copper treasure. Today we're diving deep into a very special and often overlooked coin that many people still carry around in their pockets without realizing it could be worth a lot more than just 1 cent. Yes, I'm talking about the 2020 Abraham Lincoln penny. You might be thinking, wait, it's just a regular penny. But no, this seemingly ordinary coin has a story, a legacy, and in some cases, a surprising market value that can go way beyond its face value. So sit back, hit that like button, and let's get into the incredible journey and value of the 2020 Lincoln 1-cent coin. At first, let's talk about the history behind this coin. The Lincoln cent has been in production since 1909. It was originally created to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. At the time, it was a revolutionary coin. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic representation like Lady Liberty. And who better than Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, a leader who preserved the Union and ended slavery. His face became a permanent symbol on our smallest denomination, the 1-cent coin, and now over the decades the design of the Lincoln penny has evolved. From the original wheat ears on the reverse, to the Lincoln Memorial introduced in 1959, and then to the current shield design that began in 2010. That's right, the reverse of the penny changed again in 2010 to feature the Union shield, symbolizing Lincoln's preservation of the nation during the Civil War. The 2020 penny continues this shield design, but here's where things get interesting. Let's get into the 2020 Lincoln penny in particular. This coin was struck at 3 main locations: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark. Coins from Denver have a D mint mark. And coins from San Francisco have an S-Mint mark and are proof coins which are made especially for collectors. Most of the coins you find in circulation are from Philadelphia or Denver, and now let's talk about mintage. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 3.4 billion of these pennies in 2020. Denver produced about 3.1 billion. So yes, these coins are common in circulation. But here's the catch. Within those billions of coins, there are rare varieties, error coins, and high-grade uncirculated pieces that are highly valuable to collectors. So what kind of errors and varieties should you be looking out for in your 2020 Lincoln pennies? First up is the double die obverse. This is a type of error where the image is struck twice by the die, causing doubling of the design. Some 2020 Lincoln pennies exhibit noticeable doubling on the date, the word Liberty, or the motto In God We Trust. These are rare, and if you find one in good condition, it could be worth anywhere from $20 to several $100 depending on the grade and the visibility of the doubling. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned with the die and part of the design is missing. The more off-center the coin is, and the more visible the date, the more valuable it becomes. Some off-center 2020 pennies have sold for over $100. There's also the die crack or die chip error, which happens when the die used to strike the coin develops a crack or chip, leaving raised lines or blobs on the coin. These are often found near Lincoln's face, along the rim, or in the shield design. Depending on the size and location of the die crack, these can be worth a few dollars to upwards of $50. Then there's the famous struck-through error. This occurs when a foreign object like a piece of cloth or wire gets in between the die and the coin blank during striking. This causes a very unusual and distinct impression. A 2020 penny with a strong struck-through error could fetch hundreds of dollars at auction. Let's also talk about condition and grading. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of 60 or higher is considered mint state. The higher the grade, the more valuable the coin. A 2020 Lincoln penny in MS67 red can sell for $10 to $20. But coins graded MS68 or higher are much rarer. One such coin sold for over $100. And if you happen to have a proof coin from the San Francisco Mint in perfect condition, those can sell for $30 to $50 or more. And now let's take a look at what's happening in the current coin market. As of now, May 2025, coin collecting has seen a huge surge in popularity. More people are getting into the hobby, and that's driving up the value of high-quality coins, especially modern error coins. Collectors are paying a premium for rare varieties, especially in certified condition. On eBay and other auction platforms, 2020 Lincoln pennies with major errors or high grades are regularly selling for 10, 20, even 50 times their face value. A rare double die 2020 penny recently sold for over $300. A struck-through error sold for close to $200. And even rolls of unopened 2020 pennies are being sold for collectors hoping to find hidden treasures inside. So what should you do if you think you have a valuable 2020 penny? First, handle the coin carefully by the edges. Do not clean it. Cleaning can actually lower the value of a coin. Next, examine it with a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look for signs of doubling, off-center designs, cracks, chips, or anything unusual. If you think your coin has an error or is in exceptional condition, consider submitting it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate and grade the coin, which can significantly increase its market value. Even if you don't find a rare variety, collecting 2020 Lincoln pennies can still be a fun and educational hobby. Start by organizing coins from different mints. Look for coins in uncirculated condition. Try building a set with coins from Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. You can store them in a penny album or use coin flips and holders. So in conclusion, while the 2020 Abraham Lincoln penny might seem like just another coin in your pocket, it actually holds a lot of history, potential value, and collector interest. With billions minted, most are common. But hidden among them are valuable errors, rare varieties, and high-grade coins that can be worth far more than 1 cent. Keep an eye out, because you never know when you might be holding a little copper treasure in the palm of your hand.